You know, Florida is a rapidly urbanizing state, to be quite honest, and we're in a race against time to protect the finest remaining natural areas here in the state. Quite a bit has been protected to date, but there's quite a bit more that needs to be protected to help our ecosystems, particularly around the area of water quality and quantity. You know, all that aside, this is an absolutely beautiful piece of property, and one of the few places where you really feel like you're in old Florida.
Yeah, this land is, it's interesting land because it goes all the way from completely untouched by humans to moderately or sometimes aggressively managed for cattle. We've got some citrus out on this property, but the most of it is somewhere in between that. So it would look a lot like what we see behind me right now. And this is land that we want to protect. We've got to preserve this. There's lots of biodiversity. There's all kinds of important things that go on behind us from an ecological perspective, and so we've got to protect that. And so partnering with Ducks Unlimited has allowed us to provide some structure, management, and even reason to do all of this. We want to use this land for preservation of plant species, animal species, but certainly wildfowl and other species will be an important part of what we're trying to protect here.
Well, the DeLuca easement is unique in a lot of ways. Number one, it's sheer size and scope. It's the largest easement that we've ever had donated to us, 27,000 acres. It's unique in that it is in the Everglades headwaters, so it's in a state where we hadn't had an easement before, and now we have our largest. And our partner is a land-grant university. A university that is producing the next generation of farmers and ranchers, the next generation of wildlife biologists, 4-H extension agents, the bundle of people and skill sets that are involved in the DeLuca easement make it a spectacular, transformational opportunity for both Ducks Unlimited and the University of Florida, thanks to the generosity of the DeLuca family.
I can't say I knew the DeLucas well. I did get a chance to meet Mr. DeLuca twice when he was out here. He is definitely a steward of the land, and what his family did with, you know, turning this over to the University of Florida and then them turning it over and turning it into a conservation easement. I mean, there's not one happier out here than me, because it probably means we're going to get a chance, as long as we stay good stewards of the land, to continue to keep leasing the property and seeing these things that, again, you go an hour in any direction and things change tremendously. This is pretty wild Florida.
The DeLuca Preserve is surrounded by a mosaic of private ranch lands and also publicly protected properties, and therefore is an important wildlife corridor site. But at the same time, it presents a great opportunity to show how agriculture and conservation can work and enhance each other. And the University of Florida is already moving in that direction with DU support and ours.
It is part of the wildlife corridor. And that's a critical element to protecting Florida's wildlife and plant life. But we need this corridor to allow all of these species to be dispersed into ecological zones. Again, because this is such a large piece of property, because it has so many management scenarios on it, it allows us to study what might Florida look like 20, 50 years from now. So that in itself has allowed us to begin to plan for what do we want for the future? What do we want it to look like? What do we need to protect? All of that is happening here at the DeLuca Preserve.
We couldn't have made the DeLuca opportunity come together without our tremendous partner in the University of Florida, particularly the College of Agriculture, Institute of Food and Agricultural Sciences, our dear friend Johnny Morris at Bass Pro Shops, and his team, who immediately saw the potential of this opportunity being in the Everglades headwaters, and the Florida Fish and Wildlife Foundation, who also were instrumental in helping us bring this deal across the finish line.
We are rapidly learning in this world that we can't ignore nature. If we do so at our peril. And properties like this, with the type of research programs that the University of Florida is creating, are going to provide us quite a few answers going forward about how we live better with the landscape and with wildlife and nature here in the state of Florida. And much that's learned here can be applied elsewhere in the country.
Well, this is a unique piece of property that we don't find much in Florida anymore. And because Florida is so unique, we're not going to find it anywhere in the United States. I very much believe that we need to protect what we have here at the DeLuca Preserve for future generations. It's almost unfathomable how pretty this area is. It's also important that the students and even their own faculty understand that this is something that needs to be protected for future generations. And so we're doing all the research here that needs to be done to protect the future, but also we're helping people understand the importance of a place like this and why it needs to be maintained for the future.